Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Continuing our pastimes on Lord Chaitanya. Continuing our episode from yesterday, where Lord Chaitanya is angry about Advaita Acharya preaching the philosophy of impersonalism or Advaitavad or Nirakar concept, or the process of Gyan Marg. Roaring with anger, Lord Chaitanya asked, "Hey Nada," meaning, "Hey Advaita Acharya, tell me which is superior, Jnana or Bhakti?" Meaning, speculative knowledge or devotional service. Advaita replied, "Speculative knowledge or Jnana is superior. What is the use of devotional service or bhakti for a person devoid of Gyan?" As soon as Lord Chaitanya heard this, the Lord became mad with rage. Forgetting his surroundings, he dragged Advaita out into the courtyard, threw him to the ground, and began beating him again and again and again with his fist. Advaita's wife Sita Devi knew the confidential meaning of this pastime, but still she could not restrain herself from trying to stop the Lord. She cried out. She ran towards the Lord, crying, "Stop! Stop! He is an old Brahmana. What is the use of chastising him so heavily? What if you kill him? How will you justify your own actions?" Lord Nityananda smiled, hearing all this, and Haridas fearfully chanted, "Krishna, Krishna, 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 Krishna." Lord Chaitanya was so angry that he did not even hear Sita Devi's words. Roaring like thunder, he said, "I was resting peacefully on the milk ocean, Shir Sagar, and you, Advaita Nada, interrupted my sleep, calling me to attend to your work. It was you who engineered this propagation of devotional service. You called me here to establish that bhakti or devotional service is the topmost. And now, why are you now trying to obscure it with your discussion of impersonalism? If this was your real intention, why did you bring me to this world? You have deceived me in all respects." Finally, Lord Chaitanya stopped chastising Advaita Acharya and sat down next to the door. He then spoke loudly, revealing his true identity. He said, "It is I who killed Kansa and all the other demons. It is I who lifted Govardhana hill. I tricked Bali Maharaj out of all his possessions and then blessed him because of his mood of surrender. It is I who vanquished the terrible demon Hiranyakashipu to favor my devotee Prahlada." In this way, the Lord began to say one after the other all the leelas that he has performed in the past. While listening to the Lord describe his various pastimes, thus establishing to the world that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Advaita Acharya, listening to this, became gradually merged into an ocean of ecstatic bliss. This is what he wanted. He wanted to show the world that he is not the master and Lord Chaitanya is not his servant. But Lord Chaitanya is the master and he is his servant. So Advaita Acharya actually was very happy to have received the Lord's punishment, because by punishing him, Lord Chaitanya is showing the world that Advaita is none but his servant and that he himself is his master. While clapping his hands, Advaita Acharya danced with joy. He said, "My Lord, you have rightfully punished me today. Now I feel renewed strength in my relationship with you as your servant and not your master." After dancing around in ecstasy, Advaita Acharya furrowed his brow and prayed, "Now, my dear Lord, where are your flattering words now?" Meaning, every time in the past, Lord Chaitanya would flatter Advaita Acharya with words praising him, glorifying him, and he would tell the whole world glories of Advaita Acharya and with flattery words. And he would worship his feet and take the dust from his feet on his head. And this would hurt Advaita Acharya a lot, because Advaita Acharya knew that he is simply the Lord's servant and that this Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now he's dancing around in ecstasy and now telling the Lord, "My dear Lord, where are your flattery words now? I am simply your eternal and humble servant. Your punishment being over, please now grant me shelter at your lotus feet." Meaning, now please accept that I am your servant and that you are my master, my Lord. Saying this, Advaita Acharya fell to the ground and placed the Lord's lotus feet upon his head. Hastily and with due respect, Lord Chaitanya picked him up as tears filled his eyes. Nityananda, Haridasa, Sita Devi, Achyutananda, and even the household servants were all crying to see this poignant scene. Indeed, everyone in Advaita Acharya's house became immersed in love of Godhead. Lord Vishwambara, or Lord Chaitanya, now felt ashamed at having chastised Advaita Acharya so severely, and so he wanted to compensate it by offering him a benediction, a blessing. He said, "If anyone takes even a little shelter at your feet, Advaita, be he an insect, be he a worm, an animal, or a bird, and even if he commits 1,000,000 offenses against me, I will still grant him my blessings." Hearing this, Advaita fell at the Lord's lotus feet crying like a child. And Advaita Acharya said, "My Lord, whatever you have spoken is certainly true. Now please grant me this favor. If anyone tries to become my devotee but does not serve your lotus feet, let that so-called devotion to me become the cause of his destruction. I cannot accept anyone who does not serve you." Mind you, this Advaita Acharya is none but Lord Shiva incarnation in Caitanya'S Leela, okay? "I cannot accept anyone who does not serve you. Even if he is my own son or my own servant, I will consider him to be a great offender, and I will not even look at his face if he does not worship you. On the other hand, those who worship you automatically become dear to me. If one neglects your worship and tries to approach the demigods, they never reciprocate. This is not my concoction. The story of Sudakshina's death from the Puranas is a proof." We will talk on that story a little later. Advaita Acharya concluded by saying, "Besides Sudakshina, there were many others who tried to disregard your authority and were thus vanquished or destroyed. King Satyajit was a great devotee of the sun god. Duryodhana was a disciple of Lord Balarama. Hiranyakashipu became practically invincible by the benedictions or blessings of Lord Brahma, and even the 10-headed Ravana was the most powerful king of his time due to the benediction of Lord Shiva, and yet all were vanquished because they did not worship you. You are the root cause, and you are the supreme lord of all the Devatas. Everything and everyone seen and unseen by human vision is under your control. When one tries to worship the servant but disregards the master, the servant cannot tolerate this offense. He may make a show of accepting his worshipper's service, but in the end, he vanquishes the so-called devotee. Worshipping the Devatas like Lord Shiva and others without worshipping you, the Supreme Lord Vishnu, is like watering the branches of a tree instead of watering the root of the tree. I despise that person who disregards your lotus feet. Lord Chaitanya highly appreciated Advaita Acharya's confidential prayers and replied in a voice that resounded like thunder. Listen to me attentively. Anyone who worships me directly but neglects my servants and devotees is most wretched, and by doing so, he virtually cuts my body into pieces. Indeed, such worship is like placing burning coals on my body. Every living being is my servant, and so I cannot tolerate any violence to any one of them. I destroy anyone who tries to hurt my servants. And what to speak of you, Advaita Acharya? You are dearer to me than my own body. Any disrespect shown to you is dealt with by me with great severity. Raising both arms, Lord Gaurachandra, Lord Chaitanya, declared to the world, give up the offensive attitude of criticizing Vaishnavas and chant Lord Krishna's holy name. Anyone who practices this will surely be delivered by me. Hearing Lord Chaitanya's words, a wave of unrestrained joy washed over the devotees, and they spontaneously began a great loud kirtana. Advaita Acharya cried in ecstasy while catching hold of the Lord's lotus feet. In response, the Lord Chaitanya embraced Advaita Acharya tightly and wept. Lord Chaitanya glanced at Advaita Acharya and said, I chastised you in a moment of childish frivolity. And Advaita Acharya replied, such pastimes are not factual. You perform them just to delude us. Lord said, listen, Nityananda, you must kindly forgive me for my reckless immaturity. Nityananda, Haridasa and Advaita Acharya exchanged glances, and then they all burst out in uncontrollable laughter. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams.